On March 16th of 2021, Robert Aaron Long, a Christian, he shot and killed 8 people in the Atlanta area. The police said that he was having a really bad day. Other reports and people say that he was really struggling with sin. 6 of those 8 people were Asian women. I've been processing this event as well as other events of Asian hate, attacks on Asians, discrimination, xenophobia over the past week especially. And I think in a lot of ways it appears like I've gone back to normal, but I haven't. I've still been continuing to process things, and I just wanted to say that I think that's how it is for a lot of people, not just myself. I think it looks like we've moved on, but we haven't. Trauma like this takes time to process. It takes time to heal. It takes time to reflect and think about the world that we're living in and what roles do we play in it. The loss of these people's lives is heartbreaking, and it's frustrating to me when people choose to overlook the oppression of others because it would be uncomfortable for them or it would be inconvenient for them. But the thing is that these kinds of events, they aren't just flashes in a pan. They're not just hot topics. They're not just news stories. They're about people. They're about real human beings. These were real people like you and me. They're not just a number. They're not just a headline. They were spouses, parents, and friends. Oppression looks like dehumanizing people and devaluing their life, objectifying them, and it happens all the time. When I first heard the sheriff's remarks, I thought they were quite ironic. He said that this attack in the Atlanta area was not racially motivated, but one way or another, the poison of racism is evident. Systemic racism can make it difficult for some Asian people to find work. Why do you think there are so many Asian people working in things like restaurants and dry cleaners and massage parlors? What kind of jobs were available to Asians in the past? Have you ever asked that? What kind of world was created in which it seeks to emasculate Asian men and objectify Asian women? I am a Christian. I'm a follower of Jesus Christ, and Robert Long, he was said to be a Christian. And I don't know what Robert Long was taught in church, but if he were taught things that contributed to his actions, then we as Christians, we got to do better. As leaders of our churches, as ambassadors of Christ, we have to do better. Humility is so important as a follower of Jesus Christ. Being humble, it doesn't mean diminishing yourself or being weak. Being humble means having the strength and the wisdom to know where you stand. Christians, don't let your personal holiness get in the way of loving people with the love of Jesus. Don't let your personal holiness get in the way of offering love and hope to others. We saw this all the time throughout Scripture in Jesus' life and ministry. We saw the religious leaders, they were so caught up in their own personal holiness that they didn't really care about healing other people or offering hope to others. They were just judgmental and condemning and continued to draw the line of separation. But that's not why Jesus came to earth, is it? If we are followers of Jesus, what are we going to do? What are we going to be doing moving forward? I have to remind myself, as well as some of my more zealous friends sometimes, around events like this involving racism especially, that we cannot expect some of our fellow Christians to go from a level 1 to a level 10 overnight. We have to offer them grace. We have to offer them patience. We have to walk alongside them. But you cannot stay at a level 1. You gotta move. You gotta change. You have to help make change happen in our world. You have to help bring about the kingdom of God here on earth as it is in heaven, because this is not what the kingdom of God looks like. As the church, we cannot continue to overlook when other people are being oppressed. It's time for us to start to make some changes. If you know anything about the Enneagram, I'm a 9, and so one of the traits of a 9 is that typically when I become overwhelmed, I kind of turn inward and then I just kind of close myself off. But I am committing to push past that. I don't want to be a peacekeeper, I want to be a peacemaker. There's a huge difference there. I have 2 friends over in the Nashville area that went to a vigil the other day, and they were sharing about their experiences there. One of the things that they did at the vigil was that someone got up and they shared stories. They shared the stories of these victims from these shootings in Atlanta. And that just really convicted me. That really impacted me, because I realized that I don't know them. I didn't go forth and seek to learn more about these people. A common thing that you see on social media is say their names. And I caught myself scrolling past them and thinking to myself, like, I can't pronounce that. I don't know how to pronounce that, and I don't want to disrespect them, so I didn't even try. But that's not honoring to them. And so I committed myself to put forth a little bit of effort. I committed myself to put forth effort in learning some of these people's stories, just a glimpse of who they are. They're not just a number, they're not just a headline, they're not just a stereotype, they are human beings. I literally just Googled and I watched a video on how to pronounce their names. It took 30 seconds. But it's one way in which we can continue to humanize these humans. They are not headlines, they are not numbers, they are human beings. And so I wanted to take a few moments to share with you what I found. This is taken mostly from an excerpt from a Washington Post article. It says, in 3 shootings on Tuesday at Atlanta area spas, 8 people lost their lives, leaving behind family members, 1 an infant daughter, and friends, including longtime customers. 7 of the 8 killed were women. 6 people were Asian, 2 were white. The alleged gunman, Robert Aaron Long, 21 years old, was charged with 8 counts of murder and 1 count of aggravated assault. Xiao Jie Tan. Thursday would have been her 50th birthday. Instead, Tan of Kennesaw, Georgia, was remembered by her friends who left flowers at her business, Young's Asian Massage, the scene of a shooting that killed her and 3 others. Tan, or Emily as she was known by her friends, was dedicated to her job and workers, according to her husband, Jason Wang. The couple ran Young's Nail Salon, Young's Asian Massage Parlor, and Wang's Feet and Body Massage. She donated and gave money to her employees and treated them so well, Wang, 47 years old, said. She was always celebrating their birthdays, doing good things for them. She was also proud of her daughter, a recent graduate from the University of Georgia. Her daughter, Jamie Webb, 29 years old, told USA Today that her mother was her best friend. She did everything for me and for the family, Webb told the newspaper. She provided everything. She worked every day, 12 hours a day, so that me and my family would have a better life. Xiao Jie Tan, known to her friends as Emily, died Tuesday at her Cherokee County spa, Young's Asian Massage. She was 49. Greg Hinson said Tan's business was unfairly stigmatized by some who associated her store with sex work. She was absolutely professional, he said. She cared about her job, she cared about her customers, she cared about her friends and family. After he heard about the shooting, Hinson rushed to the scene, shocked to see the police cars. I can't wrap my mind around it, he said. The kindest, sweetest people gone. For what? While she was also working 60 hours a week, Tan hosted lessons at her house, teaching other women the business. In the same period, she trained and became licensed in massage therapy. She forwarded money to her family in China and even sent back other gifts to her parents with a pedis, who, when they visited Nanning, she didn't do much for herself, but she helped everyone else, Gary Pettit said. Delana Yan was 33 years old, and her husband had decided to treat themselves on Tuesday. They booked a couple's massage, and they were in separate rooms when the gunmen entered and started shooting, according to Delane Davis, a relative. Yan was killed. Her husband escaped. They were just taking an afternoon together, Davis said. It was the first time they'd ever been to that place. The past year had been momentous for Yan. Over the summer, she gave birth to her second child, a daughter. Shortly after, she and her husband, Mario Gonzalez, were wed in a small ceremony in Ringgold, Georgia. Her dreams were finally coming true. Things were falling into place with her, said Lisa Marie, Young's longtime friend. It was good to see her happiness. Gonzalez told the news website Mundo Hispanico that moments after the horrific shooting, when he was anguished by the uncertainty of what happened to his wife, he was briefly arrested and handcuffed by police officers when they arrived there. Friends and relatives said Yan put her family above all else. When a divorce upended her sister's family a couple years ago, Yan took in two of her sister's preteen children to live in her home. She was close to her mother, who also lived with her. Marie remembered getting misty-eyed when the two of them danced to Boys to Men at her wedding. They were inseparable, she said. When she wasn't with family, Yan worked hard covering the third shift at the local Waffle House. She had been a server at the restaurant chain since 2013 and was recently cross-trained as a grill operator. Yan's friend, Rose Cross, 23 years old, also recalled her affection for others, telling the Post that Yan let her stay with her when she lost her job due to the coronavirus pandemic. I just can't believe she's gone, Cross said. She was a light. She just made everybody happy. She loved to smile and joke and hang out with her kids and make sure they always had fun. She was a happy person. Paul Andre Michaels. Paul Andre Michaels was 54 years old, and he had started working as a handyman at Young's Asian Massage only in recent months. After his business installing security systems faltered, Michaels, an Army veteran struggling to find a new job during the pandemic, appreciated getting to build again. His lifelong friend, Kakina Whidbey, said he enjoyed work and seeing the results of his work, Whidbey, 27 years old, said. When he wasn't working, he fished or spent time with his wife of 24 years, Bonnie. Although the couple didn't have any children, Whidbey said Michaels treated everyone like he was their uncle. He came from a large family in Detroit, the seventh of 9 children. It was only natural when Whidbey had her son, Joey, when she asked Michaels to be his godfather. Michaels went above and beyond in his role. He and his younger brother, John Michaels, went shopping and set up a nursery for Whidbey's son, who did not survive congenital breathing problems. He would give you the shirt off his back, Whidbey said. He would do anything in his power to help anyone. Michaels was fond of gift-giving, with Christmas being one of his favorite holidays, Whidbey said. He was a good, hard-working man who would do what he could to help people, John Michaels said. He'd loan you money if you needed it sometimes. You never went away from his place hungry. Dao Yo Feng was 44 years old when she began working at Young's Asian Massage in recent months, according to Tan's friend Hinson. She was kind and quiet, he said. Young A.U. was 63 years old and was among the 4 workers killed in Atlanta. She was also a mother. Her son said in a statement shared by Pak thanked those who had reached out to provide support and words of encouragement. We are devastated by the loss of our beloved mother, and words cannot adequately describe our grief, they said. One son, Robert Peterson, 38 years old, told the Atlanta Journal-Constitution she was laid off amid the pandemic and excited to return to work. She frequently spent her time cooking Korean food, visiting friends, and watching movies and soap operas or reading. My mother didn't do anything wrong, Peterson said. And she deserves the recognition that she is a human. She's a community person like everyone else. None of them deserved what happened to them. Ha-Yeon-Jung Grant worked long hours at Gold Spa in Atlanta. She was 51 years old and was a single mother who did all she could to support her sons, according to son Randy Park, 23 years old. Park told the Daily Beast that Grant loved dancing, electronic music, and her sons. He said she hid her job from them, saying instead that she worked at a makeup store. Before she moved from South Korea, she was an elementary school teacher, she told her sons. And here in America, she did what she had to do, he said to the news website. She was a single mother of 2 kids who dedicated her whole life to raising them. Co-workers of Park remembered Grant visiting her son at the Tree Story Bakery and Cafe in Duluth, Georgia, where he worked. I could see the joy in her eyes every time she would see him working, the bakery worker Isaac Cho said. I could tell from that she was a very loving mother who cared for her family. Park started a GoFundMe fundraiser after he and his younger brother were told that they would be forced to move from their home. Losing her has put a new lens on my eyes, on the amount of hate that exists in the world, he wrote on the page. In an update, the same day the fundraiser surpassed $1 million, Park said that he was grateful for the outpouring of aid. My mother can rest easy knowing I have the support of the world with me, he wrote. Soon Chung Park. Soon Chung Park was 74 years old and spent most of her time in the New York metropolitan area and moved to Atlanta several years ago to be closer to friends, said Scott Lee, her son-in-law. She helped manage one of the spas and prepared lunch and dinner for the employees, according to Lee and local community members. She just liked to work, Lee said in an interview. It wasn't for the money, she just wanted a little bit of work in her life. Outside of the spa, Park was fit and active, Lee said. She was very healthy, he said. Everybody said she was going to live past 100 years old. Lee said that he had grown close to Park since marrying her daughter a decade ago. They lived under the same roof in New Jersey before she relocated to Georgia. Sometimes the two of them would dance together. When they spoke, she made a point to refer to him by his given name rather than his in-law title in Korean, a reflection of their deep bond, he said. Park missed opportunities to visit the family last year because of the coronavirus pandemic. She was planning to move back into Lee's home in June when her apartment lease in Atlanta ended, according to Lee. Most of the family still lived in the Northeast. Lee recalled, "We always said to her, 'Come back and be with us.'" Soon-Cha Kim. Soon-Cha Kim was 69 years old, worked at one of the spas in Atlanta. Kim, a grandmother, was married for more than 50 years. She enjoyed line dancing and worked hard. These 8 people, they matter. Their lives matter. And these 6 women, they are just 6 of the well over 3,000 attacks on Asians in the past year. Things have to change. So I ask you, what are you going to do? An easy thing to do is to stop making jokes. Stop making jokes that are harmful and perpetuating false narratives and that are contributing to the dehumanizing of other human beings. Jokes like calling COVID-19 or Asian people Kung Flu or China virus. Jokes about someone with an accent, about them talking funny or sounding dumb and therefore they are dumb. Jokes about small penises, bad drivers, math loving. It's time for these things to stop. We got to stop stereotyping people, stop categorizing them and putting them into boxes and racializing them and fetishizing them. It's time to stop dehumanizing them to an idea of a fantasy, a joke, but not an actual human being. We are all worthy of love and value. I just wish everyone understood that. That's why we say things like Stop Asian Hate. That's why we have to remind people that Black Lives Matter. That's why we got to speak up when Hispanic children are placed into cages. And I'm not just talking to the conservatives, I'm talking to the liberals as well. Not all lives matter to everyone. That's why we say things like this. Do you hear us now? If you're not racist, then cool, but not being racist isn't enough. We gotta speak up. We gotta stand together. We gotta continue to learn and grow. We gotta have that humility to learn and grow. I encourage you to educate yourselves. That's what I've been doing a lot lately. I'm trying to learn more about Asian American history, and I found a helpful resource to me, and so that's linked in the description below. So go take about an hour and watch that documentary. For more about the civil rights movement and the history of Black people here in America, there's a number of documentaries on Netflix. If you don't have Netflix, they're on YouTube for free. I encourage you to examine your own life, examine your heart. I've been doing that too because we are in this together. Together is the only way that we are going to make change happen in our world. There's not going to be some kind of magical fix that's going to just solve the problem of racism. It's got to start small. It's got to start with you. It starts with you examining your life and your biases. It starts with you committing to make a change about how you talk to other people or about other people. It starts with ending the jokes. It starts with educating yourselves, because I'm willing to bet that if the only history you learned was in school, it's failed you. It starts with correcting other people and standing up for others, but doing so in love. It starts with humanizing humans and not turning away when it gets uncomfortable or when it gets hard. It starts with you. And so what are you going to do? What are we going to do? Because things have to change.